What exactly is happening in the United States of America? All of those threats of tariff coming in from Donald Trump, and what exactly has happened? Where do the things stand at the moment? President Donald Trump has initiated a bold tariff strategy aimed at Canada, Mexico and China, America's three largest trading partners. How exactly are these nations going to be impacted though? Let's further talk about that. On Feb 1st of 2025, he has imposed a 25% of tariff on imports coming in from Canada and Mexico, along with a 10% of tariff on goods coming in from China. This aggressive move is a part of Trump's broader America First trade policy, which he believes will protect US industries and curb illegal immigration and drug trafficking in the US too. Trump also has characterized these tariffs as necessary to address what he sees as decades of exploitation by these countries. He in fact further argues that this strategy will help to rebalance trade relations and secure America's economic interests. So where are the things at the moment? In response to Trump's tariffs, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau quickly announced retaliatory measures. Canada now plans to impose a 25% tariff on over $100 billion worth of US goods, including everyday items like honey, tomatoes and clothing. In fact, Trudeau also expressed his disappointment during a televised address, emphasizing the strong ties between the two nations, stating, and I'm going to quote him here, that we did not ask for this.
Today, the United States informed us they will be imposing 25% tariffs on Canadian exports to the United States and 10% on Canadian energy. A decision that, should they elect to proceed with, should take effect on Tuesday, February 4th. First, I want to speak directly to Americans, our closest friends and neighbors. This is a choice that, yes, will harm Canadians, but beyond that, it will have real consequences for you, the American people. As I have consistently said, tariffs against Canada will put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities. They will raise costs for you, including food at the grocery store, gas at the pump. They will impede your access to an affordable supply of vital goods crucial for U.S. security, such as nickel, potash, uranium, steel, and aluminum. They will violate the free trade agreement that the President and I, along with our Mexican partner, negotiated and signed a few years ago. Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives. As I've said before, if President Trump wants to usher in a new golden age for the United States, the better path is to partner with Canada, not to punish us.
Now, we heard the Canada side, but let's also speak about Mexico's perspective. Mexico's President, Claudia Sheinbaum, has instructed her economy minister to implement both tariff and non-tariff measures to protect her country's interests. So what should the consumers be expecting now? As markets react to the announcement of these tariffs, investors are now bracing for potential economic fallout. Analysts warn that these tariffs could lead to increased prices for consumers and can also in fact disrupt supply chains across various industries. The anticipated impact on inflation is concerning. Experts suggest that rising costs could affect grocery prices and other essential goods too. The stock market is already showing signs of volatility as traders assess the potential long-term consequences of this trade conflict going on between the nations.
fair to say that this is a lose-lose trade war. Both US consumers and also Canadian and Mexican households stand to lose. The Tax Policy Center has just put out an analysis suggesting that after-tax US household income could fall by 1% as a result of these tariffs. That's a cost of about $1,000 to the average US household. So it's not a huge hit for American households, but it is likely to make them worse off. And then for Canada and Mexico, because the US is by far their biggest trading partner, they're even more exposed to these tariffs. It's going to make it harder for firms from those countries to export to the US. And also the retaliatory tariffs that are now going to be put in place will increase costs for consumers in those countries. So I think you'd see, in percentage terms, even bigger effects on Canada and Mexico than you will in the US.
Now, economists predict that these tariffs could shrink economic output by up to 0.4%, leading to job losses in affected sectors. The uncertainty surrounding these developments has left many investors cautious about their next moves. So what exactly is Trump's strategy behind these sweeping tariffs? In his recent social media post, Trump emphasized that while there may be pain in the short term, the long-term benefits will be worth it. He views these tariffs as a tool to protect domestic industries and increase government revenue while pushing foreign companies to invest in the US production facilities. Trump's administration now aims to leverage the financial strength of the US to influence global trade dynamics effectively. He has, in fact, also linked these tariffs to broader issues such as illegal immigration and drug trafficking, particularly focusing on fentanyl smuggling from Mexico and China. But despite acknowledging potential economic discomfort, Trump remains firm in his belief that these measures will ultimately lead America into what he calls, quote-unquote, the golden age of the nation. Now, moving on slightly a bit, Panama's president, Jose Raul Mulino, said that sovereignty over his nation's namesake canal is not up for debate after talks with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Sunday, but he outlined the possibility of repatriating more migrants.
Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino stressed that sovereignty over his nation's namesake canal is not up for debate after a meeting with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Sunday.
The sovereignty of Panama is not up for debate. That is very important. There is no doubt that the canal is operated by our country, and it will continue to be so. I do not think there has been a discrepancy in that.
Panamanians took to the streets to protest Rubio's visit, displaying posters of him dressed as a Nazi and others of Trump, labeling him a fascist. Union leader Saul Mendez expressed his displeasure with Trump. He wants to annex Canada. He wants to invade Mexico. He wants to take the canal. He wants to rip Greenland away from Denmark. Trump is looking for World War III, he says. Trump has repeatedly insisted the US must retake the canal due to his claims of undue Chinese influence, which Rubio reiterated during the meeting, according to the State Department. The Panamanian government has vehemently denied ceding operation of the canal to China and insists it administers the canal fairly to all shipping. Though the canal itself is operated by Panama, the two ports on either side are run by publicly listed Hong Kong company CK Hutchinson. Other ports nearby are operated by private companies from the United States, Singapore, and Taiwan. The two sides did see more eye-to-eye on migration, with Mulino suggesting a possible expansion of an existing agreement with the US that could pave the way for more direct deportations of non-Panamanian migrants who cross the Darien Gap on Panama's southern border with Colombia. Over the past few years, the area has seen a surge of people bound for the US. He insisted, however, that the US government would need to cover the cost. Rubio's trip to Panama marks a first stop on a tour of several Central American nations, as well as the Dominican Republic, over the next few days.